Welcome to the Veterans Growing America podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Coach R.L. Simmons. I am here with my illustrious co-host, Donnell Johns, and we have another special guest for you today. We have Miss Wanda Sistah Soldier Petty. She is a Army veteran and the CEO and founder of SheVet Enterprises. Welcome to the show, young lady.
Hey, thank you so much, Coach R.L. This is a pleasure.
Pleasure.
Well, sister, it is a pleasure to get you on the Veterans Growing America podcast. I know you, but let our audience know a little bit about you and your military experience and background.
Yeah, so I'm excited. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be a new member of the Veteran Growing America. And a little bit about me, Army veteran, 21 years, served administrative supervisor, and was a wounded warrior at Walter Reed and retired out of 2006, 2008. And in that process, I was injured because I didn't know what I was going to do with myself when I got out. It was really kind of like a shock to myself, as far as many other vets as well that were going through that same experience. But what I found is although I had all the experience of being a recruiter, of being someone who served for years helping other veterans transitioning at the PSC level, when it came down to me building my own career, I froze. And so I had to create some form of a system and realize that the injury that I had was not going to lead me in my life. And I knew that there was something greater calling me. So in order for me to be able to get out of my way to do what God was calling me to do, I had to create something that was I had to go deeper with my soul and my spirit in order to really pull out what I was experiencing, because personally I couldn't do it. And all of the counseling and the programs that they had at the time was not helping me, because it was deeply rooted in things that my nervous system had become accustomed to. Those type of things that we're not so used to being exposed. We're always trying to hide, and we're incognito. So even as I wear this BDU, this is something that we have been accustomed to. And it also goes a little deeper than that, where we don't want to kind of be exposed or express ourselves to other people. So that's what I do now. I help other women and creative women veterans in transition to be able to feel comfortable being visible so that they could build the business or the career that they could be proud of.
I love that. And so how many years did you spend in the Army?
21.
21. And you mentioned a couple of time frames. Tell me a little bit about those time frames. I know you said you got out in 2006?
And 2008. So, those time frames. So actually, I was overseas. I went to Korea, Germany. My home base was Germany. My first duty station was Germany. And so went there, absolutely loved it. Then Colorado, stationed at Fort Carson. And then I had the pleasure, after going to Korea from there, to be assigned in Atlanta. So how many people get that assignment, right? I know it
Wow.
was a sham, but some people probably thought it was a sham, but it really wasn't a sham. Some serious business, making sure that our troops, people that entered in, were situated. It was all about making sure that they met the requirements and working with the recruiters and getting their background checks, and that they flow through the process of, the operations process, got their physical and everything. You know how scary that process was, right? Everybody like, oh, they're gonna flag me. I'm not gonna be able to make it. So I had the opportunity to be able to manage that floor and calm the entries down so that they could be comfortable and knowing, like, I could do this. I could do this. And that's what inspired me to become a recruiter. When I left from there, I ended up in Baltimore as a recruiter, and I pretty much stayed in the DC area until my retirement time.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
We have some mutual locations that we got to talk about after we get off the call.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a sweet journey, sweet journey. And I think what I really have discovered about my whole experiences being in the military, that I really was called to serve, to be able to serve those families, to serve those service members who were in transition, who were getting their assignments, didn't know how to get their training. I'd set them up for promotion, making sure that they understood what they needed to do to be promoted, instead of just going in and thinking I'm just going to go to PLDC or NCO Academy and then I'm going to get the points that I need. No, it's more than that. You need to be doing these accredited courses on your own time. Go to school and, just kind of guiding them, making sure that they're doing their best on their PT tests and getting extra curriculum, getting certifications so that they could have those points when they go to the board. So I absolutely love doing that because I saw how much we depended on each other to really be able to make sure that we were successful. And that was my favorite part about serving.
I love that. You touched a little bit on your inspiration, but is there one moment in the military that made you feel like, all right, this is my opportunity to become a entrepreneur? What was the big influence of the military into your journey into entrepreneurship?
Yeah. So while I was in Atlanta, I was so engraved in that culture there. It was just amazing, being around the Black culture, and everybody was inspiring. It was the most inspiring atmosphere that I had ever been in. And everybody was doing some form of entrepreneurship. And I kind of felt like, you know what, I can do this. I became a Mary Kay consultant. And in that process, I started meeting a lot of people that were outside of the military, getting out of my comfort zone. And as a Mary Kay consultant, I was like, then it came time for my assignment to be up, and I wasn't ready for that because by that time I had became rooted in one of the churches that was located there, and I was not ready to leave as well as my duty assignment. It was just like a bomb, right downtown and close to Fort McPherson. It was just all of that and more. So I wasn't ready to leave, and I thought I had a plan that I was going to stay there in the area. So I said, well, if I can become a recruiter, then I can when I get out, I'll be a better entrepreneurship. My goal was to become a realtor. So I said, if I can become a recruiter and learn how to sell under pressure, then when it's time for me to get out on my own, I'll be slamming. So I became a recruiter. And then that really just helped me with my entrepreneurship. I just knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. Actually, from a child, I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And that just kind of like gave me the fuel to be able to line things up.
I love that you said that, from a child you wanted to be an entrepreneur. Is there a person that inspired you, or what was it about entrepreneurship as a kid that inspired you?
Wow. So I grew up in California, in Southern California, not far from Pasadena, close to Hollywood and Beverly Hills. And so those were the things that inspired me. That's actually when I joined the military. I saw that and I wanted to move to Beverly Hills. And because I went to school with kids where their parents were actors and actresses and they were in the film industry, and I was very camera ready. I loved being in the camera. I loved carrying the camera, taking photography, photos, and things of that nature. And so I said, I'm gonna go to Hollywood. This is what I want to do, be in the film industry. Lo and behold, it didn't work out that way. I realized that my friends that was in school that were driving the Porsches and the Mercedes and all those things, they had an inheritance. They didn't earn that stuff. Their parents got it for them. And I said, well, how am I going to get that? Because my mother, she was a single mom working. And I was like, there's no way that I'm going to be able to achieve that. And so my brother had went in the military. I said, well, I'll do what he did. And this way, whenever I come back, I'll be able to go to work. I will have be a film producer and go and be in Hollywood, and I can have my entrepreneurship from that perspective. And so that was pretty much what inspired me all along, was to be a filmmaker or a photographist in working in Hollywood as an entrepreneur, just being some form of a freelancer. And what's so funny is I was a licensed cosmetologist when I came in because I achieved my license while I was in high school at night going to school. And so when I asked to join the army, I said, well, don't you need hairstylists? And they was like, no, we don't need no hairstylists. My intention was to join as a hairstylist because I was like, oh, I'm good now. I have my degree, my cosmetology license, and I can go in here and get the skill. And because they cut hair all day long, they was like, no, we don't need you for that. So I all along I had it, and then I just kinda, like, subdued it because I didn't foresee the ability to do it while I was active duty. It just was so much going on, and my duty called, and so entrepreneurship was kinda, like, put to the side, in that process until I went to Atlanta.
No, I love that. Now I want to get into the business, your business. Let's talk about SheVet Enterprises. I know you have a few things under the umbrella. Let's talk about it. What we got? What were we talking about today?
Yeah. So, well, I mentioned media. It just everything became full circle. And I knew that my life had something circular around it with media. When I got out, I was remember I said I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. And so because I had been preparing for real estate for the 10 years prior to my injury, as I had intended to retire in the time frame, I actually had my license already for a real estate agent. I started pursuing that, but being at Walter Reed, I began to realize that there was something more that I could do. And I didn't know what it was, so I had to realize, okay, like what can I do? And then I started working with women veteran. And when I started working with women veteran, because all around me, everybody, this was literally the beginning of the Afghanistan war where people were coming home and it was just a mess at Walter Reed. You heard about everything on the news all the time, how the barracks were looking and how they were being ran and how the troops were just kind of like we were in a disarray. No, the command, no one knew what they were going to do because everything was happening so fast. And I saw how depression was hitting my peers and things like that. And so I was like, okay, so what can I do? How can I help them to understand the same thing that I do, that even though I'm injured, I still can use my hands. I still have parts of me that work that doesn't require the ability of my physical body. So
Yeah.
I really started venturing to think like, how can I turn what knowledge I have into something that doesn't require me to go into an office and doesn't require me to use physical. So that caused me to lean more towards virtual. So I began to train women how to take their project management skills and use them in a virtual environment to get employed. So that's where SheVet started out. And then I said, well, okay, they weren't coming out. Women were not coming out. Barely anybody wanted to talk about anything. We were kind of disrupted. We were still trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to do? I don't want to go into a normal work environment because it's uncomfortable. And so I said, well, how can I reach them? If they're not coming out, how can I reach them? So I started a television show, and that's where SheVet Inspires came in at. I went into their homes. I said, you're not coming out to me. I'm going to go out to you. So I launched and ended up in homes all around the U.S., in Fairfax County. Now we're on streaming television. We also are in some of the local channels. And so that's where the media component came in at. And from there, realizing that we still deal with this incognito personality type of thing of not wanting to be seen and afraid to be seen. We know our stuff, but we are shy in a sense, and kind of like because we've been taught to be in camouflage and to hide and not to be, don't talk to nobody because they might be trying to get some information, so we're very discreet on the information that we share, even though we really have a offer, we have a skill, we have talents, and we have abilities that are unlike any other to be able to make a business be able to soar from our management skill. But that'll never be found if we don't open our mouths and say, hey, I have this skill, and be able to identify them. So SheVet Enterprises culminates all of those areas, helping women to be able to say, okay, this is my skill, identify them, be able to identify their project management skills, and take that to the workforce area. And so currently I'm working with them on the visibility, on how to be profitable, visible as an entrepreneur and someone who supports other businesses as content creators.
No, that's really cool. The one thing that I love about business, and you said that you're in the TV arena, they usually tell about all of the great stories when it comes to entrepreneurship. You always see the end, but the middle is where they don't see. Tell us a little bit about your journey in entrepreneurship and some of the things that you went through.
Yeah, so I went through the same thing. It was facing the fears that I had been around people, my peers, in the military. We don't have to sell anything to anybody. We just need to just say what it is. It's already laid out. I had to figure it out. I had to understand how to transfer my skills as a recruiter. How do I take those skills and then apply them in a normal sales manner? That was the most difficult thing for me as a realtor. And it was like I was successful as a realtor. And yet it took me like over a year and a half to really just break that down on the segments of how I'm offering someone an opportunity to buy a home. I literally had to reach out to one of my trainers in Baltimore recruiting battalion and have him break it down to me. I said, I'm just having a problem with this, and I need you to explain it to me. He was like, how could you have a problem? You're one of the number one people in the battalion. I don't know, but I'm having it, and I need some clarity. We're going to have lunch right now, and you're gonna share with me what I need to do. And it really helped also having my brother-in-law, Lindsay Streeter, who was always at it Soldier of the Year, and just in sales quite a bit in the battalion, that he would break things down, and seeing him. So I had to choose someone that was successful, that was outside of the military, or who were still in, because at the time he was still in. And then I had my trainer who had actually exited. So I had two mentors that were on both sides of the track that I had to stay connected with, because it was important for me to be with someone who understood my way of thinking. No one spoke the acronym language. People didn't know what I was talking about. And it was frustrating. I was like, well, talking, and they were like, well, what does that mean? And I had to remind myself they don't understand. And I had to learn to appreciate civilians for where they were, because we're fast pacers. And when we're fast pacers and people who are not familiar with our language, our culture, to them, it's intimidating, because we're about our business. We'll make things happen. And in their mind, it's like, it don't need to happen right away. So, why are you trying to hurry up? You're trying to take my job, or something of that nature. You're trying to outshine me, and we're just being who we are. So I had to start looking at the differences in the culture, and see how I could not only help realtors understand what service members were going through when they're helping them buy a home, and not be intimidated because they expect them to be on time. They expect them to have things in order. You need to have a list, and, because we don't know failure. And so if it's not explained on how this is supposed to work, we're going to have a problem with that. And it's not going to be, quiet. So I had to learn those things myself. And as far as being visible, I had to realize like what I had to step outside of me and take a biblical approach to it, because I knew that God was giving me a different assignment. And in this assignment, I needed to be able to, he wouldn't have given it to me if I wasn't able to accomplish it. And so I had to realize the trust that he had put in me and the call that was on my life and that is on my life in order for me to have the impact on the lives that I'm called to have impact on, you know? So those are things that I dealt with internally, and it was a lot of work. I had to have coaching. I sought coaching. I didn't do it alone, because the more I tried to do it on my own, the more I dug internally and came up with the same answer. So I had to get a coach. I had to be able to stay enrolled in educating myself and getting into different programs and training that would take me beyond what I was familiar with and be able to transfer the skills that I had. Did I answer your question?
You did, you did. You
Okay.
answered it. So what I heard you say is that you had to have somebody translate what you learned into a different way of speaking, and you had to get 2 different coaches because one wasn't good enough, you had to have 2 because you're special.
Yeah. And yeah, actually 3, because I needed a civilian. I needed a
Mhm.
civilian coach because my approach was sometimes direct and hard. And I tell you, the biggest thing that I've learned as I have become more into me as a, veteran, is that I can't, especially as a business owner. People are not in the military where you could tell them you want this done and like that, and you expect them to do it in the same manner, because rank doesn't apply anymore. It just doesn't. And that can be one of the most difficult things that we can really have to detach ourselves from, because is not applicable anymore. People respond to you out of respect, not because of demand and not because of, attention, speak when you're only spoken to, or you do what I say you do, because they can walk away. So we have to understand that it no longer operates that way, and it's an adjustment internally, mentally, because we can get upset because knowing how things usually be, where whatever I say because of my rank or my position, it's just done. It doesn't work that way when you get out of the service.
Let me ask you this though, like through your time in service, even in business, there are some key lessons that you look at in your time in service and you was like, yeah, I'm glad I went through that in service, and you use it in business. And what are some of those? And kind of give me an example of
It's
some
the
of those.
project management skills. It's the having clarity of what we need to have in advance in order to get something done, and then the will to follow through with it. That I believe that is one of our greatest skills, of being able to manage operations and do more than one thing at a time, in a sense, not to be the jack of all trades, because that, oh my goodness, let's speak to that. So often when we get out, I had to select one thing, because it was the initial thing was I could do this, and this. Oh, and I know I worked that position, this position, that position. And some of them I really was fond of and others I wasn't. But because I was great at it, I felt like it was something that I could do. So I didn't know how to hone in what it is that I really, really wanted to do. So I had to create a system that helps people identify, just hone it in, because we are a jack of all trades and a master of none, because we've been told that we are an army of one. And so when we realize that we are not this person that's supposed to be this spider that can go out and do everything like the game of Twister and still make it all happen, especially when it's just us. Because we're starting out, it's going to be just us. And so it can cause a lot of fragmented pieces all over the place. So that is one of the things that really helped me to get once I realized that I needed to find one thing that I really was favorable of and stick with that. Everything else will come into play because that skill is going to still be there and it will be incorporated into what you're doing. But you got to just focus on one thing. And I think that thing is project management.
Oh, I love that. I
That's
love that.
good.
This is getting to my favorite part because we get to talk about Veterans Growing America. And, like you said, you're a brand new member.
Hmm.
I saw you jump right in. On our member call, there's an individual that needed some help. You jumped right in, was like, "Hey, I can help you." We have our government contracting cohort. You jumped in on that. Can you talk to our audience a little bit about your experience? It's a short experience with VGA, but just talk a little bit about your experience with Veterans Growing America.
Yeah, well, really, it's not. I've been following you guys for a while. I get on the call. I've been on the calls for several times throughout the years,
Mhm.
so that's why it was easy for me to really get involved. And because I had been away traveling and not being local, I wasn't able to participate. So the moment I had the opportunity, I was just jumping right in because we need that community of people who understand us and who have the like mind. We need that. That's a part. That just is a part of the transition. And so what I really love about Veterans Growing America is that Donnell, you have laid out the foundation in seeing what's you're filling that gap of what the communities need and knowing that we have the ability to do it and we haven't been quite afforded the space and the opportunity as a group to hone that skill in of sales, of being able to build a business, of how there are the classes that they have, and that's great. The 6-week classes that most of the places offer, and they give you the structure and the foundation. But when it comes to implementing it, this is where Veterans Growing America comes in at, because you're actually providing the space and you're there to mentor. I'm sure you are mentoring them as they are there with their sales on their displays and all those other things. So it wasn't very hard for me to get involved because I had been itching to get involved when I became closer in the area. So yeah, it's been amazing so far. It's been amazing.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. It's been amazing having you. I'm looking forward to you jumping right in because there, our community needs visibility. You provide visibility with your platform. And you said some things about Veterans Growing America that I want people to know. We provide
Yeah.
a space, place, and opportunity for you to implement what you are doing. And that's one of the hardest things. I can write a business plan.
Yeah.
I can chat GPT a business plan that will make me a billionaire in less than
Yeah.
6 months. But if you don't execute any of that information on that paper or in that AI system or any of that, like Coach R.L. helps people with finances, but if they don't invest a dime in anything, that dime will turn into a penny in a second.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
all about we like to say execution. It fits in 2 terms, a military term, and then also a business term, really executing your business. You gotta go out here and you gotta live it and thrive with it. So, I wanna thank you for being a member, and I wanna thank you for what you've done so far and what you're about to do through the organization.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. I absolutely have a great time when I come there because it's being among my peers and we're all growing together.
Mhm.
So it's no matter how much we develop, we still need to stay connected because not only are we reaching back in that moment, but we're also reaching up, aspiring to reach others who are all have already been there. Like, you have the space, you went through that process, so you know what it takes for someone to get a space for a business. For those who have space there that are, having their shop there, when they get ready to elevate, you already have done that. So you're reaching back for them and they're reaching up to you. So
Mhm.
it's all a give and reciprocity process.
100%.
I love that. So let me ask you this though. We have a number of guests that watch this show. We have some business owners. We have some people who, thoroughly support what it is that we're doing. Speak to those people. Perhaps they may be thinking, hey, I want to start a business. I watch this show because I want to start a business, or I'm in my business, but I really haven't got the ball rolling. I want to give you the platform to kind of say some final words to those folks that are listening.
Yeah, yeah. So if you are someone who is actually feeling like you're stuck, you know you've gone through this process, you've done the training, and it's time to implement. You bought everything, got all the stuff stocked up, and you're not making any type of sales. It's really time to get into action, meaning connect with Veterans Growing America and be able to find out when their Saturdays that they are having the sidewalk sales and all those shows that they have. Get connected. If you don't do it right away, then just find the process out. Do something. Take action. If you need a visibility coach, if you need someone to help you understand, like, okay, why is my body keeping me from doing this? Why is it when I get ready to speak, I feel like I have a frog in my throat? And literally, that's what it feels like. The nervousness takes over, and then we start to regress and charge 70% less than what we are, valued at in order to make a sale. And then there's no growth from that. So if you're having those type of experiences, you've got to get out. You've got to connect with people. This podcast is actually a great place for someone to learn the different steps of what they can take. Get your pen and your pad out, your notes, and take notes, and then take action. So find someone that speaks to you that you can relate with and connect with them. And yes, you will have to pay. You're going to have to pay. This is not the military anymore. Just as if we are reaching out and we're doing this on behalf of you, it's a business. It's not a nonprofit. Nonprofits still need to run like a business. So you have to recognize that you're sowing a seed into that business that is growing and developing so that they could do more of what you need and what other people need. As a business owner, you also have to consider when you sow, that's what you're planting for someone to sow back into your business. So you have to think about those things. It's not all going to be free. However, it's well worth the investment.
Well said. Very much well said. Sister Soldier, truly appreciate you joining us today. I actually learned a lot, and definitely just understanding that there are next steps. There are next steps. But you got to take them, but it really is one step at a time. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
How do people get a hold of you?
So I'm on Instagram, Facebook as Sister Soldier. I'm on Instagram, The Real Sister Soldier, and LinkedIn, Sister Soldier. You can find me there as well. And then there's my website, sistersoldier.com.
I love it. Donnell, how about them VGA socials?
Yeah, so before we get into that, we need to hear a little bit about Coach R.L. Simmons and what he does in his business. Let's hear a little bit about that.
Yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it because this transition from active duty to retirement to having time to put in some work. At Your Money Go, we help simplify finances in order to give family the best results. And I love that because we do that through education. So we have webinars, we have online courses, we have personal coaching, and of course, we have products and services. I want you, no matter where you are in your journey, I want you to go to yourmoneygo.com and just do a financial audit. If you're good, you're good, right? It's always good to check out your money and see what you got and know that what you built is good. And if you're not, then we can work with that too. But at the end of the day, I want it to be let's say so simple a caveman can do it, but that would even be an insult because I think finances and the basic financial literacy should be something that everyone should have, right? Because microeconomics controls the macroeconomics and vice versa. And when we understand that, right, then we can move our communities a little bit different. But with that being said, go to yourmoneygo.com, YOUR moneygo.com. Back to you, Donnell.
I love that. I love that. Y'all go check out yourmoneygo.com. And then after you finish his website, go to veteransgrowingamerica.com and figure out how you can get in. And when I say how you can get in, you don't need to be in the military to be able to support. You can come out and support these businesses by going to our directory, and you can find both of these individuals on our directory. You could also come to our in-store location and you can shop at our retail store. We also have several different other ways that you can get involved, but get involved with our community. We are open Monday through Friday. We're open Monday through Sunday for our retail shop. And stop by the store and do some shopping, baby.
I love that. Sister Soldier, thank you so much for joining us. We truly, truly appreciate your time and experience for sure, and your experience. And thank you for your service.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate that.
It was great having you.
I love that. Hey, Donnell, I forgot my shot baby because I was on mute, but I'm going to still throw it out there. Shot baby.
What he said.
We are over and out.